What is the SOWLE RV Podcast? What are our personal goals? How can we help you get started or improve on your RV camping journey? All of that and more on this week's episode of the SOWLE RV Podcast. Hello and welcome to the first episode of the SOWLE RV Podcast. This podcast is for anyone with an interest in RV camping but doesn't quite know where to get started, someone who has an RV but needs to learn about the RV camping process, as well as those of you who have already avid RVers and would like to learn more about RV camping tips and tricks, or TNT as we like to call it.
Each weekly episode of the SOWLE RV Podcast will consist of 5 segments, including solely facts and current events, where we will share the latest facts and news from the RV camping community. TNT, as Mark mentioned earlier, where we will share lessons we have learned from many years of the RV lifestyle. Life and soul of the party, the trivia game that you get to participate in. The SOWLE RV Goal, where we'll discuss the aspects of GO.A.L, G.O.A.L, an acronym for Get Out and Live, and how to make your travel goals and where to go, including stories of our own travels. And finally, Food for the Soul, where we will share our favorite RV camping recipes with you. Now let's talk a little bit more about who we are at SOWLE RV. Like we mentioned before, we love our acronyms. The SOWLE, S-O-W-L-E, stands for Soaring on Wings Like Eagles, and we do this in our 2 RVs. Soul comes from the Bible verse of Isaiah 40:31 that reads, "But those who trust in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint." SOWLE RV started out as a blog, and now we are expanding into this podcast and a video podcast.
So all of you may be wondering why we created SOWLE RV. We did it because we love the RV camping lifestyle. We want to eventually become full-time RVers, take this show on the road. We both enjoy helping people and want to expand the RV camping community by giving others a way of learning from our many years of experience and from our many failures as well. So, who makes up SOWLE RV? Our SOWLE RV family consists of myself, Mark, my wife, Angie, our amazing son, Aiden, and our SOWLE RV Chihuahua pack of 5, and on occasion, some other crazy extended family members. I personally have 26 years of experience in the automotive field, a jack of all trades, king of none. I was commonly referred to as MacGyver growing up because I was always fixing things.
And still is.
And usually breaking them as well. I also camped a lot when I was a child with my family.
And I've been camping since I was a child too. I earned a business degree, but then I chose to be a teacher instead. And then when Aiden was born with special medical needs, I became a stay-at-home mom, which was the best choice ever. And this has allowed me to be with Aiden every single day, all day long, which I obviously love, and eventually allowed me to begin creating the SOWLE RV blog. You may be wondering where SOWLE RV is located. Well, we're located in the Midwest part of the United States, and we are in the sunflower state of Kansas. However, our biggest goal is to take our content on the road, like Mark said earlier, while we explore the world around us. So we will be recording from our home base in Kansas, as well as on the road in our RVs. Now, what makes up the SOWLE RV? Well, as we mentioned, we have had many years of experience in RV camping. We started off in a truck camper, a very, very old truck camper.
Yes, we did. It was actually a 1984 Hornet made in Elkhart, Indiana. We had put it on a 1979 Ford F-250. It was actually my family's. We ended up buying it so we could go out camping after we had gotten married and decided to go do things. We had pulled the boat along with us.
Yes,
so,
I forgot we pulled the boat behind us.
Yeah, seemed to be a pretty good fit for us at the time. We used this for a few years. Everything was pretty good with it. It just didn't give us a lot of expansion room.
Didn't it catch fire once?
On my dad. On my dad, not us. Not on us. It broke down a few times on us, but never caught fire, thankfully. one that we really outgrew pretty quickly, I would say.
Outgrew? That's a good word for it. I think I outgrew it for us.
That could be well.
Since I outgrew the truck camper, we ended up purchasing a 1981 Pace Aero Class A motorhome because I was very huge, very, very pregnant, and I was not able to get up those stairs in the back of that truck camper. It was practically impossible. So before we had Aiden, we decided it was time. We had to purchase something different. This was not going to work for us, and it was not going to work for a newborn baby also. So we got rid of that.
Bought a 1981
How did we
Pace Aero.
get rid of that? Who did we?
We
We sold that to somebody.
We sold that to your sister
Yes.
and her husband at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. So they got blessed with that camper. Anyway, the Pace Aero was our first motorhome experience, going from a truck camper to a much bigger motorhome.
It was quite a bit larger. It was set up on a Chevy chassis with a 454 engine. Drove out pretty decent. Was a little bit new experience trying to get used to. For those of you that have drove older RVs, it could be a handful of times. The very first trip out, we thought that, I thought that the motorhome blew up. Had a tire blow out, and it sounded like it took out the whole back half of the camper. That was quite an experience. I think we had 3 out of 6 tires go bad on that trip, from leaving from where we were to the lake and coming home.
We're going to discuss the importance of a trial run later on, and that would be a very good example of why you need to do those, but we'll get to that later.
Don't plan on, for your first trip out, taking a couple hour from home trip. Keep it a little local, or maybe to the RV store. That might be better.
All of our experiences, yes.
The Pace Aero was decent. Had a nice floor plan inside. Had a jackknife couch. 2 captain seats up front. The back was set up in a dining shape U. We decided that wasn't going to work for us, so we went ahead and turned the whole back half of that into sleeping quarters with our son.
It was twin size beds, wasn't it?
Yes.
When we first started, and then you made it into bigger than a king size bed. I mean, with the whole back end, it was a huge bed.
Yeah, the whole back was beds. We could all go back there as a family, pups included. Worked out pretty well. Shower was a little bit small, but not too bad.
And it was a step down. And with a pregnant mama at that time, that was a little rough. But it was so much better than the stairs in the back of that truck camper, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Was nicer having a little bit of extra room. You could stand up and walk through the trailer everywhere where you're at.
No slide outs, though. No slide outs at that time. That was an older camper. But since then, we've had 3 other travel trailers. We had a 1998 Sunnybrook, and that had a single door, right? And then the 1997, we went back a year because we knew we needed double entry doors. It just made me feel safer to have two doors and gave us more room. And then, much later on, we bought a brand new, at the time, 2018 Heritage Glen travel trailer. And this all leading up to our perfect RVs that we have now. And we have 2, in fact. The first being a 2017 travel trailer that we named Jack in the Box because it has 4 slide outs. And the second being a 2000 Class C motorhome that we named the SOWLE because we had just started out our SOWLE RV blog, and we knew that we planned to blog from the road about our RV camping travels and experience in this new to us motorhome.
So that's a little bit about SOWLE RV in a nutshell.
Coming up in the next week's episode, we're going to dive right into the different types of RVs, the different floor plans that are available, how you can find your perfect RV as well.
Thanks so much for joining us today. As always, SOWLE RV encourages you to safely get out and live and explore the world around you. If you'd like to check out our show notes from today's episode, just go over to SOWLERV.com, click underneath podcast, and make sure you follow us on social media and be sure to hit that subscribe button below.